What's up, peoples? Well, this is going to be an interesting one. All right. So, what to do before and after your session? All right. Let's start with before. That's going to probably take the most time. So, let's start off with scheduling. That'd be a good topic to start right there. Understand that when it comes to scheduling, that you're dealing with two different. If you are going to massage therapists that have their own practice, a private practice, or you're going to corporate slash franchise. Because there's two different things that I don't think a lot of people think about. Let's start with the corporate franchise portion. Understand that they have a team, a specific team that have their positions and has everything that they need in place. There's people that answer the phones, make sure the scheduling is going well. They have other people that's the actual therapist that's getting into work. They got supervisors, they got managers that's doing the business side. They have the maybe even a spa back or somebody that's doing the laundry, making sure the linens and stuff is clean. They got people dedicated to doing, making sure the restrooms and stuff is clean. There's a whole team making sure everything gets done the way it's supposed to be done, which brings me to scheduling. There's dedicated people that the only thing they do is take care of the scheduling, maybe the transactions and everything, which is like the front desk or their customer service or like thereof, right? So there's multiple people doing things, which is easy for you to call in or before you leave. We get you on the schedule, blase, blase, etc., etc. Right? Easy, easy. Got it. 100%. Got it. Right? But one that is their own boss, the one that is having their, like myself, massage therapists that have their own practice that um does everything. It's the exact opposite. I am the one that's giving the session. I am the one that is, with the phone calls when I can answer them. Most of the time, it's very important that somebody that has their own practice, they're the ones that are going to be least available, okay, to do like scheduling. The best thing for someone that has their own practice to do is implement a system to handle repetitive questions or to handle the good flow of things, to handle the scheduling information, everything that you can put in one place that's the most common asked or the most common wanted or the most common information that needs to have, etc., etc. The best place to do that is to answer all of those questions is to develop first to have a website and implement a system, okay, to handle that. I have that system in place. I have a website, www.thezodiacexperience.com, ZODYAC, right? .com, and it tells you my services. It handles booking for me. It handles the transactions for me. It's where you can catch this podcast. It's a dedicated podcast. When I go live, I'm starting to go live a little bit more. All of that stuff is on the website, which is a great way and a great tool to go there, when it comes down to the most common asked or questions, or my availability, if I'm free on this day, what services do I offer, etc., etc. That frees up time for the therapist to actually do the session. And because it's going to be, that question is going to be asked, that's the number one: available, what are your service costs, etc., etc. That handles all of that. That is the absolute best thing you can do. I cannot stress it enough. If you have a therapist that has their own practice, the best thing for them, because you understand, it's only, of course, everybody knows only 24 hours in a day, but time becomes valuable. Like, and it's not saying nobody's time is valuable now, but especially when it comes down to the therapist and giving the service, majority of my time is going to be working on giving the service. I'm not going to have time to answer calls right away. I'm not going to have time to answer or respond to texts right away and everything like that, for something that can actually be avoided or made easier for the therapist if the website is utilized. It prevents you from having to ask, what do you have available here? In my website, when you go to the booking section, or the zodiacexperience.com/booking, or you can just hit the book down when you go to the zodiacexperience.com, etc., etc. When you go to the website, you hit booking, and in studio, it gives you my entire calendar. It avoids the question, what do I have? Because you'll be able to see it yourself. You'll get a quicker response. You'll get a quicker um you'll be able to know if it works better for you or not. And if it does, you can book it, and you were already booked in. Like, it handles everything that way. You don't have to wait on a respond text, or a respond phone call, or anything like that. It's 2022. Everything is done not technology. Yeah, everything is done technology wise. I'm gonna start using that. Everything is done technology wise, right? If you need to get we used to have to call, or used to have to stand out in the street and be like, "Yo, taxi." Now you can go right on your phone, go to an app, Uber or Lyft, and schedule yourself a ride. Everything is done there. So I try to keep up with that by avoiding a lot of time and the back and forth, because that'll take way longer, and it'd be so much beneficial to both of us. Because to me, that shows that shows most of the time that, like, hey, we understand you're doing your sessions, we understand you're busy, we understand you're here, you at events, you're doing this, you're doing this. We understand that, and we also understand that you may not be able to get back to us right away. I would really like to schedule a session, and to appreciate you implementing that, to that way I don't have to ask you or call or text. I mean, I understand it's not going to be able to do all the time. I understand it's kind of the normal, because this is why I started with the corporate first, because corporate franchises, they have people doing everything. So when you call one of these franchises, there's somebody answering the phone because that's all they do. But when you call somebody that is doing their own practice, they can't because they're in a session, or they can't because they're doing business stuff, or they're at an event, or they have to do everything. So they got to delegate their time to try to do that, and they understand, Texas and all that stuff can happen. So I try to get back to you as soon as I can. But the absolute best thing you can do for your privately owned massage therapist, if they have a website and booking in place, please go to the website and book your session. Not saying, I just highly recommend, highly encourage for that to take place. Because then if I'm between sessions, say I'm between sessions and I'm trying to get back to you and I'm looking here, looking here, looking here, looking here, looking here. What about this day? That work? Oh, that may not work. What about this day? Would that work? No. What? And you come back to me. What about this day? Would this work? No, that may work. In between my sessions, I gotta do like I gotta sanitize the room. I gotta flip the room. I gotta get ready for the next session. And the worst thing you can do is for us to go back and forth for 5-10 minutes, and we don't schedule anything. That then it becomes very difficult because then that time could have been, doing soap note, documenting everything that I had for the previous session, making sure if I need to get more hot towels or when I'm in session mode from session to session, I'm focused on the next session and I'm trying to keep that going because I got to give you all the best quality work I can possibly give you. And that's my dedication to you all. So the best way to help me to kind of keep that flow going and to give the best service ever that I please go to the website, book your session through the website. Because then another thing, the way my website is built is that if you book your session through the website, you automatically get not just an email but a text message on reminders. It already takes care of the soap notes. We don't have to fill out paper forms and stuff when you get here. It automatically avoids everything I'm trying to avoid because I'm not the franchise. The franchise is good, which I'll start with Arrival that leads to the next one. The franchise is good, to do that. You show up 15 minutes early because there's paperwork, there's all kinds of stuff to be done. But with me, I don't know anybody else's system, but with me specifically, we get through all that already. That way, the way I would like for the Zodiac experience to go is for you to come. I already understood. Come to the studio, right? Or if you or I come to your location if you requested a mobile session or event. Where we'll keep it at mobile sessions and studios. So if you come to the studio, you schedule a studio session. You come here with the intake form. I already know what's going on. We don't have to waste time, which gives you, this is where you benefit the most. It gives you more time in your massage, right? Because you've already filled out and did that information. And if you ever been to me to my practice, there's a part where you fill out all your information, then you can register your account that saves all your information so it can make it quicker for the next time, right? Makes it quicker for the next time, which saves time. The more time I can save, the more time I can give back to you. The more time I can give to you in your session, the more time if you having a problem with your shoulder or your hamstrings or your calf, I could spend more time there because we avoided all of the time that needs to be spent, right? To keep you from the scheduling, they keep you from having not keep you from the scheduling, but it avoids all the extra stuff. Let's get the business out the way. Usually the deposit or transaction, all of that stuff is out the way. Business is completely taken care of. That way you can come to the studio, get your session, and I don't even want you thinking about business after that. That's why I tell, if you ever had a session for me, at the end of my sessions, my clients get to take a couple of moments to themselves. I encourage them to not get up right away because we've already taken care of the business stuff. So especially when you've already paid 100%. If not, there's another way that I tell everybody as well. You have the email, and that way you can finish out the payment if you like before you even enter. Because the mindset I would like you in is a zenned out mindset from an amazing session. So when you get up, you're not thinking about or trying to get out of that zen because you got to finish payment or the reschedule and all that stuff. All that stuff is already set for you through the website, through the emails. Check your emails. Even through when if you did a deposit and you want to make the payment, you can pay. You can finish paying before you get here, and they have a portion where you can reschedule your session along with that email. Everything is taken care of technology wise. Everything is taken care of technology wise when you go through the website. And that saves you a lot of time, because then if you want to know and you're curious about if I have a certain day available, if I have what time, etc., etc., you go to the website and be like, oh, he got this. I'll take it. Boom, done. Confirmation email. Everything is all good. And I'll be here waiting for you. And I get notified like, boom, I got this time. Boom, I got that time. Boom, I got that time. Then that makes it that much easier. Because the worst thing you want to do is go back and forth. And I'm not saying nothing wrong with that, but it's just it's night and day easier when you go and schedule your session through the website. If if you're seeing someone that has their own practice, their own studio, their own location, their own stuff, and it's just them, and they have a website and a scheduling system, it's best to do that. Even if they do, they will inform you and let you know. I know some therapists, they rather you call them. That's how they do their scheduling. They do it on paperwork. I know why, which I won't say, but they do it the work, and do it that way. Or the whoever you go to will have their system in place, and it's just best to follow the system that they request. Right? For me, it's best. I got a really nice system, and I don't know a lot of people that do it like this, and this is probably why it's more challenging, maybe more difficult, or I don't want to say it's not difficult to comprehend. It's just different, and I understand it takes some time to get used to. But for me, the best thing possible is to get all the business stuff out the way, go to the website, book your session through there, so it handles everything. Payment is automated to handle all that, and that way you can get reminded through text, reminded through email. Everything is beautiful. I've already thought of all that, so that's how it is for me. That I would encourage scheduling. Go through the website, please. Go to the website. It helps me way more than you can think, than you can imagine. It's one of the best things you can do. It's like the second best thing you can do outside of actually scheduling a session with me. Scheduling a session with me is the absolute best thing, because that's not just getting a massage session. It's also invested in my vision, invested in what I'm doing, and it's like voting with your dollar. Like, keep doing this. This is awesome. That's the best thing. The second best thing is doing it through the website for me, which brings me to that next part where I was saying, once you schedule the arrival, the arrival is very important as well. With me, because if you go through the website, it avoids all of that. You do not have to show up 10, 15, 20 minutes early. Because what you're probably not thinking about with my system, when you do that, you kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, you kind of rush the client before you, unless you're the first client. And if you're the first client, you kind of rush me to get ready. You know what I mean? Like, I'm here getting ready. I'm to get ready for you, but you don't want to rush your therapist either. Give them time to be ready for you so they can be at their best. They can have everything presentable for you. It is never good unless you're in franchise. Franchise, they want you to do 10, 15 minutes early. They want you to do 20 minutes early. That's better for them because you're here and all that stuff. But depending on the situation, that client that's being worked on is being rushed anyway, because they're trying to get to you. And then when you get to your session, you're being rushed because there's another client waiting. And that's kind of the cycle that everybody is used to. But here it's not. Here, I give people time. Time is very valuable. And I think you paid for your 60 minutes. You deserve 60 minutes. And the only way to give you 60 minutes is to make sure I have enough time and enough cushion to add in everything, such as getting undressed and dressed. Usually they take that out of the 60. Nope, not me. Or if it comes down to doing more intake, if there's a couple of questions of what's going on, you said this was happening. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? It gives me time to have all of that. And when we're done with the session, like I said before, you get a little bit more time to, hey, I encourage you not to get up. Do you like a water? You got the waterfall here that you hear. You got this. You laying on the massage tables right here. You know, you got the music going, relaxing. Take a moment of yourself. There's no rush getting out of there. The only time it feels rushed is if I leave that session, and usually I have a couple. They have, life will get you up in general. But I leave that session and there's already somebody waiting. I understand if like you're here early. That's good that you're here, and thank you for coming. But let's just say you don't have to come in 20 minutes early. You don't have to wait outside of here 20 minutes early, 15, 20 minutes early. And that's why even on the confirmation email for me, I say, please don't show up more than 5 minutes, because with the gap I have between, it gives the client enough time to, come back to earth. That gives it, if there's a little bit of transaction that needs to take place, if need help with that, I can do that. That gives plenty enough time for me to flip the table. And that gives me time, and this is the biggest thing because a lot of people don't understand this. It gives me enough time to prepare for you. I I take on so much energy. I take on so much of whatever that session I was dealing with. I put a lot of energy into it, and then I'm drained. I'm drained, right? I need to recharge. So when you come, you can get the same quality, or you can get the same effort, but it's going to take me a minute to get to that. Like, give me a couple moments. Let me prep for that. And this is where burnt out, fatigued therapists in the franchise have trouble because they don't have time to themselves to prepare. It's a lot that goes into the session. It's a lot that goes into the session, way beyond physical, mental, emotional, intuitional, if that's a word. There's a lot that goes into it. So it's vital that the therapists have the moment to collect themselves, to recharge. I may have to take a shit. I may have to go, and I can't do that. Oh, I'm ready. Well, I got to shit. You want to stay here for a minute? Because I'm shitting right now. Otherwise, the aromatherapy is going to change. Okay? We don't need any of that. So for me, I can't speak for anybody else. For me, my system, no more than 5 minutes. And again, whatever therapist, if you're going to someone that has their own practice, private owned practitioner, massage therapist, license, etc., they will have their system in place. The bottom line is to understand what that therapist, the Michael Jordan thing, right? Their therapists have in place, and to follow that system to help out to make the experience not just for you, but for everyone, including the therapist providing that service, as best as possible, right? Franchises, you can do that. They got the little waiting area. You want a little dirty? I don't know if you got that. I ain't never been to Woodhouse, or I don't even want to name names. What? Who knows? It's just best. So we got to understand that corporate is different than private, but corporate have that. They have, you can do all of that. Private, they have a team. They have multiple people. Private is just one person. Corporate, they have a system in place. Private have a system in place. you know Arriving on time, you can do that early because you have a waiting area here. Especially if you've done everything, depending on the therapist. But for me, you don't have to arrive 15-20 minutes early. No more than 5. And give or take, I would say the overall is 10, but for me, no more than 5. 5 minutes early, come on in, because I'm gonna be ready for you. It's not gonna take that long. Because as soon as you come in, I understand. I already have an idea what's going on. If not, I ask you about it. So what's going on? Let's talk about it. I was looking over here because when you come in early, that gives me also a chance to look over and see what's going on the intake of what you filled out. I'm not up all night. Let me see all 4 therapists or all 4 clients. Sorry. See where, oh, okay, I know where everybody's going. It don't work like that. I look at what you have going on right before you come in. That way it's fresh. If I have questions, I can ask it and move on. So for me, arriving on time, depending on where you are. Corporate, They have their own arrival 10, 15 minutes early. Private, 5 minutes for me, and ask what's okay with that therapist. Once you arrive, as long as you arrive on time, the latest is on time, right? Then it comes down to before then. One of the things is before you come and receive your session, make sure you eat and drink plenty of water. We're moving a lot of blood, a lot of changes is happening in your body. Make sure that you are hydrated as much as possible and you're not on a full stomach because I don't need to be giving you deep pressure and you over here squeezing. We don't need that because my linen's gonna become two-tone. I don't need two-tone linens because there's been times I say before, hey, whatever you do, don't shit. Because of that push. Whatever you do not shit. I don't need the aromatherapy changing. I don't need two-tone linens. I'm gonna have to throw these out. Matter of fact, I will. I'm not about to try to watch that. I'm not watching it. Long story short, make sure you eat and do your at least an hour and a half before your session will be a good time. That way that gives your body enough to digest whatever's going on and you'll be able to, if you got to use restroom, all that be taking place. So you're not on an empty stomach, but you're not on a full stomach and you don't have to use the restroom. That's the best place to be right before you do your session. Okay. Also, upon arrival, make sure, okay, that what's the best way to say it? I'm gonna just have to say it. Make sure you wash your ass. Make sure you wash your ass. Okay. Don't wash your ass. Make sure don't come to your session right after you got done gardening. Don't come to your session right after you got done working out. Don't come to your session right after you got done taking a jog. Don't come to your session soon right out of the bed to the session. Wash your ass, right? Because I know like when ladies come in, hypothetically, well, not hypothetically, because this is always said, when ladies come in, one of the most things is like, don't make fun of my feet, I didn't get my pedicure yet, right? Don't make fun of my feet, right? We're not thinking about your feet unless it's really messed up, and then you may get some hot towels and aromatherapy wrapped around it, you know what I mean, and some compressions, and we leave it there. But we're not really 9.9 times out of 10, we're not thinking about your feet. We're thinking about the muscles in your feet, how your feet feels. We're not thinking about, like, oh my goodness, is that plumbing red? What kind of nail? Who did your nails? We're not thinking about none of that. We can care less about how your feet look. We can care less about how your hair look. We can care less about how your hands. We don't care about the looks. We're more primarily focused on the feel. Unless you brought your own unwelcome aromatherapy, we don't want that part. Wash your ass. Because one thing, if you don't wash your ass, one thing happens here that you're not thinking about is there used to be a trick in school, right? Which will be explained. The trick in school is I bet you I can cut your hair without even touching your hair. Pretend you got some scissors, cut your hair, and put it in my envelope. And they be like, okay, here. And they put it in the envelope, you close your hand like this, right? They pretend to put scissors in there, you close your hands like this. And then you do this friction, right? If you do this long enough, especially if mine's ain't gonna do it because it's super smooth and my hands are clean. But if you do it long enough and you've been outside or whatever, you open your hands up and you're gonna see a lot of it's like exfoliating, right? You're gonna see a lot of dead skin cells, dead, dirty skin cells. You're gonna start seeing a lot of that. Some is gonna look like strings of worm and all this dirt that comes off of you. And this was why we say wash your ass. Because the moment you come to your session and you ain't wash your ass, and we put the lotion on and we do one stroke. By the time we come back, all that sweat, workout, gardening, jogging, playing bingo, whatever it is going to expose itself. And then it feels like a bunch of pebbles and hair and all kinds of stuff coming off of your skin. We don't like that. It makes it very, because our receptors in our hands are very sensitive to feel what's deep down. And it's kind of like when you're trying to when you're trying to move somewhere just forward and something comes right in front of you, you want to make a right. And some of y'all parents, okay, you ever try to get up and go in the kitchen and your children beat you to the kitchen and deep down inside they cut right in front of you? It kind of feels like that when we're trying to work and it's like, because then we got to get it off. It doesn't, it is a distracting. You don't really interfere, but it is distracting because then I'm feeling extra stuff I shouldn't be feeling. And that comes based off of if you wash your ass or not. We don't want that. Right. I leave that there. So make sure you do that before you come. Then once you come, the arrival, the next thing will be the undress, which I talked about before, undress it to your comfort level. It can be completely naked. You're going to be under the linens. There's no problem with that. We're going to drape. That's where draping comes in, professional work. Get that done. Or if you don't feel comfortable with that, you can leave on, your underwear or however. Just don't get fully dressed with car keys, shoes, and umbrella under the table, under the linens on the table with you. Just don't do that. Right? And then we do our session. Those are things, and making sure everything is filled out prior, making sure everything is done the way the your therapist, whoever you go to, has requested. If you have any questions, ask your therapist and they'll get you all the rundowns. But those are the main things to do before your session. After your session, okay, after your session, a little bit easier because then make sure you get your stretches, make sure you stay hydrated, try to stay away from things that cause you to be stressed in the first place, try to stay relaxed. I know life kicks in and it's just that difficult, but just try to really implement stretching, and usually your therapist will give you homework to do. Make sure that gets done for your self-care to prolong whatever we do. After your session is easy. Also, after your session, make sure you communicate with your therapist. Let your therapist know what's going on. Let your therapist know how they did. You can tell them, like, I'm a little sore. With me, I'm already expecting a little bit soreness because once you come to me, I'm very, very good. One of my best traits is finding things. Once I find it, I break it down so you can feel that much better. That's one of the reasons why my reviews are where they are. It's because I really take time and trying to find those problems, along as trying to get you relaxed as possible, but actually help you and get rid of or at least get progress on the issues that may be at hand. Right? Everybody else knows that. I won't say everybody else, but I'm one of the few that really does it. Right? So after that, make sure you get your stretch, make sure you get your water, make sure you communicate with your therapist. If your therapist give you a text or spend that time or email, make sure you respond so they know how to adjust for your next session. That's if you want to go back to them. But if you want to go back to them, communication is key. That's the biggest thing out of it. Communication is key. Make sure you talk and say what's going on with you, how you're feeling, and that way adjustments can be made to help you as best as possible. As well as making sure you stay hydrated, making sure you stretch. If there's tools that need to be bought, like maybe some softball or Theracane tool that your therapist may request of you, if you can, because ultimately it's up to you. If you can, try to do that to try to help so we can make a better session in the future. That's pretty much it when it comes down to after your session. Communication, do your homework, self-care regimen that the therapists have requested of you, if you can, as best as possible, so we can continue to have progress and you don't come back to your next session all knotted back up because technically between sessions you didn't do anything, honestly. And I understand life gets in the way, children, family, vacation, work, whatever it may be. We just ask that you try your best to do it. As long as you do that, everything will be all right. Right? So, wash your ass. Thank you for tuning in. And remember to resync back to yourself. Thank you for tuning in. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you share, like, comment, and subscribe so you can get notified on the new uploads to the channel. If you're watching this on my website, thezodiacexperience.com, make sure you join the email list where you can get notified on new episodes or even a chance to join the live show, me and the audience, and even get some cool gear like this jacket and shirt. If you're listening to this on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple, iTunes, whatever you are, make sure you follow so you can get notified as well. And last but not least, if you're not following me on any of the social platforms, IG, Facebook, TikTok, etc., everything is at the Zodiac Experience. All the links, everything else could be found down below. Appreciate you tuning in. Once again, thank you. And remember to resync back to yourself.